Have you heard this album before? Francis the Mute by the Mars Volta. This is what I'll be discussing today on this episode of what I'm calling Good Art, Bad Art. What constitutes good art? Why is it good? Why is other art bad? I'm here to give my point of view across, and I'd love for you to let me know yours as well. So, Francis the Mute by the Mars Volta. What do you think? Have you heard it? For me, giveaway time, it is one of my favourite albums. Yes, I think this is great art. Mars Volta are often called a prog rock band, which is very true. They also have Spanish heritage, so Latin America. They often sing in mixture of English and sometimes Spanish, which to me, being a non-Spanish speaker, adds to the mystery of this group. I mean, isn't this album artwork even just totally mysterious? Can you see? People driving cars with hoods over their heads so they can't see where they're going. Kind of disturbing, makes you think, kind of mysterious. This album, Francis the Mute, is the Mars Volta's second album after the incredible Deloused in the Comatorium. This goes, as good as Deloused is, and it is a masterpiece, this goes beyond it in terms of exploring musical ideas for longer stretches of time. 5 tracks on this album, much like Joanna Newsom's Is, which I discuss in another one of these videos. 5 tracks. On Francis the Mute, they're split up slightly into sections, but nevertheless, really just 5 tracks. And this is nearly 80 minutes long. 77, I think. So the average track length, we're talking what? 15 odd minutes, more than 15 minutes average. And the final track, Cassandra Gemini, 32 minutes and 32 seconds in length. So lots of time to explore ideas. In fact, many people, when you first get this album and you think, oh, it's called Francis the Mute, and you listen to it, you look at the track listing, there is no track Francis the Mute, even though inside the album we have the lyrics printed to Francis the Mute. There is no track on the album. And you think, oh, this is one of these mysterious games the band is playing, some deliberate secret message here. But no, they just couldn't fit it on. They'd recorded too many songs. They had too much time due to time constraints. It wouldn't fit on the album. So they had to put it as a B-side on their single, The Widow, which came from this album. So a rather prosaic reason for why Francis the Mute, the track, is not on the album. What does this album sound like? Why do I think it's great art? Well, the tracks are masterclasses in developing musical ideas. The guitarist, Omar Rodriguez Lopez, planned the 5 tracks out incredibly carefully. He wrote all the parts, more or less. You know, he had an idea what the drummer should do, what the bassist should do. The only thing he left alone were the vocals, which Cedric Bixler Zavala comes up with himself. But Omar, yes, he comes up with all the other parts. And for this album, he would then spend many, many hours individually with the bassist, with the drummer, going through the parts, teaching them the parts, but then allowing them to put their own stamp on it. So he wasn't being a total dictator, but he was saying, look, this is the song. This is what I want you to do. Please learn this and then add your own special touches. And I think that singleness of vision comes through. Every song seems so well constructed, so tight, even when they're wandering off into, lengthy sessions, which feel like jam sessions. And actually, on the last track, Cassandra Gemini, part of it was a lengthy jam session. Excuse me. So that is an exception. That wasn't fully planned out. The musicians were jamming around a certain structure. But yes, there's just such power in this album, such singleness of thought, artistic vision. And yes, it's prog rock, so it can get pretty heavy, but then also it sort of goes to the other end of the spectrum. It can get very soft, and there's lots of sections of what I might call sound design, sound art, where we're just hearing maybe recorded sound from outside. We hear children laughing and playing, we hear cars going by, and then we hear sort of manipulated sound, electronic, synthesized sounds doing some strange things. There's other things going on in this album. We hear some salsa piano. Yeah. We hear guest spots from different musicians. I think they must have a relationship with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because Flea, the bassist from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, plays trumpet on a few tracks, and John Frusciante, guitarist from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, does a few solos. But anyway, that's sort of by the by. But these songs, lyrically, very complex. Again, also like Joanna Newsom, as I discussed in a previous video, lyrically very complex, which I adore. You hear these phrases and you think that's fascinating, but what on earth does it mean? I don't know, but it's so poetic and beautiful, and it's cryptic. It's a puzzle. You don't listen to this album once and you think, I understand it. You want to hear it again and again. One of the hallmarks, I think, of great art. And like I said earlier, some of the lyrics are in Spanish, which I don't speak that language. It adds to the sense of mystery. I want to know what is going on here. What on earth is going on? I won't go into the whole background of the album. I'm sure there are other videos about that, but the story behind the album is fascinating, based on a diary found in the back of a car. That's all I'll say for now. But these songs really rock and groove as well. Sometimes in sort of standard time signatures, nothing wrong with 4 beats in a bar. One of my favorite sections is in the first track, Cygnus, Vismund, Cygnus, where there's a rhythm, which took me a while to think, what's going on here? And what it is, it's a pattern of 9 and 12 and 8. And whichever way you count it, it's a strange rhythm, but it's wonderful. It just grooves somehow. 9, I would say, quavers, or eighth notes if you're American. 9 eighth notes, let's say. 12 eighth notes, and then 8 eighth notes. So however you count it, it sort of adds up to 29. Anyway, not being complex for complexity's sake, but it just is interesting and fascinating. And if you haven't heard it, please go and listen. You have to sit down, pour yourself a drink. I think it's evening listening. I would pour yourself whatever you enjoy to drink, put it on, and be prepared to be amazed. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you love this album? Is it great art? I'm giving all these artistic creations a score out of 100. I give this 92 out of 100 for great art. Hope you're enjoying these videos. What should I talk about next? Please let me know. Let me know if you're a fan of the Mars Volta or not. And yeah, I'm up for doing books as well as music. Got a few ideas for what to do next, but we shall see. Anyway, please listen to this, Francis the Mute by the Mars Volta. Great art. See you next time.